Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video, and today we have some drama to talk about. It's not often you get drama in Runeterra, at least not too often. You get complaints about metagames and stuff like that, but actual like a drama, not so much. And we're here to talk about it and give a nice, balanced, calm take on the whole situation and then just talking about some general things. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about this, and it's this tweet here from Emotional, who is a Runeterra content creator, I'm pretty sure, and he tweeted out about Runeterra.ar, which is this website here, which as a quick baseline, essentially is like a sort of in-depth stats website. I would kind of view it as like in-depth mobalytics. You know how mobalytics has stats of different decks. This is like taking that a bit step further and looking even further into the stats and stuff like that. So you can see here I'm on, like, I don't actually have an account, but I guess having an account does even more. I'm looking at like the meta of Europe, so this Thresh Nasus is the most played deck in Europe, and you can go onto your different server or whatever as well. And essentially, it's an in-depth stats website. And Emotional here tweeted out about. So I don't know how I'm so late to finding out about Runeterra.ar, but this has made ladder so much easier. Knowing exactly what's in your opponent's deck is huge, especially against all these people playing deep. It tells you what their removal spells are. 10 out of 10 sight. Now, people, if you scroll down and look at some of the replies here, you see that some people thought that this was cheating, and then eventually we got Twin Suns saying it was a good discussion to have, and then Right Umbridge actually so the director of Legends of Runeterra said something about it, and Right Umbridge says, "We shut it down for now. Our guardrail with third-party devs is no competitive advantages. The spirit of this is convenience is fine. Track my deck and metas pictures, prep for tourney, but not in the moment for a particular match. We'll continue to iterate on this with y'all." So let's talk about this. First off, is this cheating? Is knowing what is in your opponent's deck cheating as you play on ranked ladder? Now, I think that most people would agree that yes, it is cheating, but maybe on the sort of smaller scale than perhaps others, right? So, like, if you could hack the game, right, and control your draws and your opponent's draws, that would be cheating, like, very high. That's like match fixing level of cheating, right, in other sports. And then let's say, stream sniping, knowing what's in your opponent's hand, you're looking at what's in their hand, as you play your deck. That's probably above this as well, right? Like, you can actually see what's in their hand. That's like, I don't know, what would be the equivalent in other sports to that? That must be one, but I can't think. Like, if you got match fixing, then like doping, right? Let's put that at the equivalent of doping, where it's not guaranteed you're gonna do better, but you won't necessarily win, but you will have a very distinct advantage, right? And then there's this, which is like even smaller, where it's like what your opponent's deck is, you don't know what's in their hand. I mean, good players probably have a good sense for particularly developed lists anyway, right? Like, I play the game quite a lot, and when I come against certain decks, particularly when the meta has kind of been solidified for a while, you kind of know generally the 40 card list. You probably know 37 of them if you're a very considerate player and you play the game a lot, and you've seen it all before. So you might not even think, well, that's not cheating. That's just doing something that with enough time anyone can do anyway. But of course, in my view, this is cheating. It does give you a competitive advantage, and whether your opponent could have had access to it or not, I don't think really matters. The fact that you're using it and it's something that your opponent might not be using is enough for me to say, yes, this was cheating, albeit on a smaller scale. And so this started off a bit of a debate about what should be allowed, and I'm thankful again here that Riot Umbridge has come in on the matter very quick. You can see this happened yesterday, very quick on the matter, and was like, no, we don't want to allow that. Third party devs should know that there's no competitive advantages should be used in their stats. And so Runeterra.ar has been, sort of that side of it, using your opponent's stats or whatever, I think has been, stopped. It's been deleted off their sort of website and what they do. And so we've ended up in this spot where, people have been accusing people of cheating or whatever. I think it's been a bit overblown. As I say, this is like the smallest scale of cheating that you can do, and some people would debate whether it even is cheating. And so I think we can move past that. Now, since then, I've also seen calls from people saying, well, maybe ladder should be open deck list anyway, right? And I saw a Mogwai tweet about it. Actually, I'm going to bring up the Mogwai tweet. So here it is. It was a tweet from, I don't know how you say this, but Gviadia. And they say ladder would be a better experience with open deck list for everyone, in my opinion. Ideally implemented in game without having access to third-party tools. At least in master, this would be nice. Also, would take it a bit closer to tournament gameplay. And Mogwai said, "Man, I cannot just disagree more. Let's rip away the surprise factor from the game." Now, I couldn't agree more with Mogwai here. I think that the idea of having open deck lists is essentially just like, why wouldn't everyone at that point just play one of 3 decks? Like, already we're in a state where, most people will play like the top meta decks, but at that point you might as well, there is no surprise factor. You might as well just throw everything out of the way in terms of, building your own homebrews and stuff, because they know what's in it. There is not going to be a surprise, oh, you're running this card in this deck. That's an interesting little synergy you've got. They're just going to know straight away, okay, this is how I beat this deck. It takes away a lot of the skill from the game. And this is another point that I've always wanted to say. I've always wanted to make this point, and I haven't ever really found the time to do it. But this person is right, that it would make it closer to tournament gameplay. But I beg anyone out there, because I am not a tournament player. It doesn't really suit me. I'm not like hyper competitive player in general. Like, I play the game for fun. I play a lot of stupid decks. That's how I enjoy the game. I don't really enjoy, playing the top decks a lot of the time. So tournaments have never really been for me. What I've never understood is why tournaments are open deck list. I have never understood this. It, to me, seems to remove so much skill from the actual game. Like, surely a tournament is about finding out who is the most skillful player of the game. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of luck and your draws and all that stuff. But in general, who is the best player at the game? I cannot understand why the whole deck building process and the whole thinking about what your opponent might have and the options that they have available to them is completely taken away by the fact, as long as you can read, you know what's in their deck. There is no figuring out they're playing this deck, or what might be in there. None of that. Just, there's no bluffing about what kind of deck you might be playing. No, just here's your deck. It makes no sense to me. And I have watched one tournament where they did have closed deck lists, and it was the EU like countries tournament. I can't exactly remember what it was called, but it was a tournament between countries in Europe, right? And each country had 3 players, and they would play a best of 3 against other countries, and there would be a group stage, and then there was a knockout stage, right? And that tournament had closed deck lists, and very quickly, Czechia, or the Czech Republic, quickly became a fan favorite, because one of the decks that they brought, I can't remember, in one of the early rounds, was a Shadow Isles Bilgewater deck with Twisted Fate. So everyone thought it was Go Hard, but really it only had one Twisted Fate in it, and it was actually an Undying deck, and it was very, very different to a Go Hard list. And so the opponent, of course, mulliganed for a Go Hard list, and played out the first couple turns as if it was Go Hard, and of course it wasn't, and they caught them by surprise, and I'm pretty sure they won that game, and it was amazing. It was such a great feeling, and to watch someone outsmart their opponent, to use tricks of Runeterra to go further with it. And then it was quickly discovered after that was happened that other teams started experimenting with stuff like that, and started going much more out and left field to find decks that would counter certain meta decks that they expected to come up against. And I just thought, that's what this should be. Czechia in that instance got rewarded for outsmarting their opponent. They were better players for that game because they understood how the game could be manipulated in certain ways. And so I just want anyone who perhaps has a lot more tournament experience than me. I understand that it's easier to, if there's open deck list, there's a lot less to think about. And I know that that European tournament had some problems. You had to bring 9 decks, which does seem excessive. But I just want someone to explain to me why open deck list in any format is better than closed deck list. Because to me, as someone who loves deck building, it seems to just rob you of that whole point of the game. Like, we just turn the game into, who drew their curve better, who can slightly understand exactly what time to use their spells a bit better. Like, it feels like it rips away a lot of the actual skill of the game, which for a tournament, to me, makes no sense. But that is my rant about this. I know I kind of went off topic a bit. So I'd love to know your thoughts about both, the cheating side of it. Was this cheating? What should happen? Should this kind of thing be allowed? And then also, I want anyone to explain to me why they think open deck lists in tournaments is a superior option to closed deck lists, because to me, it doesn't make any sense. But that's going to be my piece on this situation. I've said what I wanted to say. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. And I will be back probably tomorrow with some gameplay instead. So until then, I will see you next time and have a really nice day.